Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hello, welcome to the show. My name is Cameron Williamson. This is By Imitation Only, and today's guest, where to even begin? Magician, host, co-host, MC extraordinaire, motivational speaker. What don't you do?
Tech stuff. We've already learned that. You talk about. I could barely share that we were going on
Tech
on
stuff
on the interwebs without your help.
It's okay. It'll be great. It'll be great. Ladies and gentlemen, please let me proudly introduce Mr. David McCreary.
Oh, thank you very much for having me.
Good
We're
to
gonna have
be-
fun today. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here.
I feel important.
Do you?
Yeah.
Well, like, this is just a little podcast thing. You do all kinds of big stuff all the time. This is probably the smallest stage you've ever been on.
Awesome. I'm a little starstruck. Being across from you and with that camera right there. This is good. I know you think I'm being funny, but I got goosebumps as soon as you started talking because you got a great voice as it is.
Well, thank you.
But then when you start talking, you start like this. I'm like, oh, that is awesome. And then you got this goofy voice, and I got a goofy voice, and I get that a lot.
Do you?
Yeah, they don't say They don't say you got a goofy voice, but
Right.
like the commercials I've done, or if somebody tells me that they were in the other room and the Cash Explosion show came on, and
Yeah.
they're like, hey, I was in the other room, and then I heard this voice.
Yeah.
And that's their way of saying I heard this goofy voice. It's weird. I know my voice is weird. I'm used to hearing it now, but I remember the first time I heard my voice.
Yeah, that's always
I'm
weird,
like,
isn't it?
oh, please.
Like,
that's
is that what I
yeah.
sound like?
Yeah.
What is that? Is that my voice?
Yeah.
So David, we're gonna talk all about your stuff, your life. We're gonna talk about like the connection between business and creativity, and we're gonna talk about like how people can do what you're doing.
All right.
So we're gonna handle all that stuff.
Great.
And make sure people can find all your social media.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's what I'm not good at is marketing.
Okay.
So-
We'll work on it. We'll work
Sweet.
on it. It'll be great.
Sweet.
So you are first a magician.
Yep.
Which I find very cool that you're using the term magician because there's like I'm an illusionist.
Yeah,
I'm not a magician.
Yeah.
Is there a difference? Does it matter?
So I don't think it matters necessarily. Illusionist, though, I think personally, and I think maybe a lot of magicians think this way. Illusionist, I think bigger stage
Okay.
props and girls disappearing out of boxes. And
Right,
all that. I don't do
explosions
that.
and
Yeah,
that kind of
exactly,
thing.
exactly.
Okay.
I like watching that. I just don't do it.
Oh, okay.
I do the
Okay.
close-up
So you
card
close up stuff. Yeah.
Some comedy and magic.
Nice. Comedy and magic. Now
Yeah.
that's doing two things at once.
Yeah, but it makes it easier for me because the comedy part, the laughing, can be a great misdirection for if I have to do some tricky
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
Also, if and this is something that the comedy magicians say a lot, if the magic isn't that great, you can fall back on the comedy, and if the comedy isn't that great, well,
True.
at least I'm doing magic. Hopefully, both of them are good, but yeah, it's and it's fun. I like making people laugh.
Nice. Well, and apparently somebody likes you already. We have David McCreary. You rock.
Oh, nice.
From Jim. He likes to see.
From who?
It's from Jim.
Okay, good.
Jim Howland. He likes what you. He likes
Nice.
your. He likes
I
your
thought you were
deal.
gonna say. I thought you were gonna say it was for my wife, but she would never say that publicly. She tells me in private, like I really like you.
you're
but,
okay,
like,
I guess.
She doesn't want to tell me in public.
Oh, of course. So you've done performances for big names: Honda, Chase, NetJets, NBC, Victoria's Secret, etc., etc. How did you get from what I would consider, a kid doing magic in his bedroom to big stages with big people and probably big money?
So I didn't. First of all, thanks, Jim. I didn't even say. I just kind of glossed over that.
Like,
Thanks,
yeah, I'm
Jim.
amazing.
Don't get me
Yeah,
wrong.
I'm good.
I didn't even start doing magic until I was 20, which is really sad. Like when most my friends are out getting, they're in college or they're starting families, I was learning magic tricks. And I walked into a magic shop in Myrtle Beach. It was, 150 degrees out, and I saw a magic shop. It was a Barefoot Landing, and I think the place is still there. Walk in, saw a guy doing some stuff, thought I want people to pay attention to me like they're paying attention to him in this place.
Yeah.
So I bought a couple tricks because he did the tricks, and I knew the only way I could figure them out is if I had to buy the secret.
Yeah, totally.
So I brought him back to Columbus, and at the time I was working at Ticketmaster, and somebody there told me that there was a magic shop right around the corner in Columbus, and there was. So I started going to that shop, and it's just the one hobby that stuck. And I don't know if it's because it came on later, so no other hobby came in after that to take my attention from the magic.
Okay.
But I then got a job at Lucent Technologies, and I would do magic walking around there for a while, which is a company here in Columbus that made circuit boards for cell phone towers. And
Incredibly exciting business.
Yeah. And it was a great job. We really liked it. It was a cool job, but I walked around a lot doing magic. And then at one point they asked me to come in and do like an internal. They were doing a meeting with a bunch of. Was that my phone? My phone making noises. That was me. They asked me to come in and do a meeting and like MC it. And I thought, well, okay, this will be good. But if I'm gonna MC, then I need to do bits in between. So if we have a big room, I can't do close-up magic. So
Right.
I have to take some of my close-up magic and make it play bigger.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. And that was probably, I started doing magic in 91. So I was 20. And then so probably by 96 was when I started with the bigger stuff, the stand-up stuff. And got laid off from there in 2002.
So wait, time out. So your job was to do magic?
No, they just wanted me to MC one small event.
Oh, okay. So it was good.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I
gotcha,
say small
gotcha.
event. There were probably 400 people there, but it was an internal,
Right.
Lucent technology.
Yeah. Okay,
thing. It was
gotcha.
at a movie theater here. It was Easton had just
Oh,
opened
okay,
up,
gotcha.
so that
Yeah,
would
yeah.
be how I knew what time it was, because Easton, actually, the movie theater part wasn't even open yet, but they reserved one of the theaters for us to have this big meeting.
Gotcha.
And so that was that's where the bug bit, where I was emceeing that, and I had done other things before then in front of people, but nothing like that big, like a corporate thing.
Right.
And from then it just grew, and I started doing more and more stuff, and got involved with an agency for the magic stuff, and an agent for the television stuff, and some of the stuff I do on my own. But
Gotcha.
just slowly.
So
bigger and bigger.
tell me about your childhood. Were you like a performance-y kid? Were you like the kid that was riding your bike off ramps and stuff?
I
or-
was, but it was just for fun. It wasn't in front of people. I was a nerd. I was a nerd up until I would probably clear through school, but I didn't look like a nerd my senior year, because we're talking 1989, so hair bands were a big thing, Bon Jovi and Motley Crue, and I had let my hair grow out, so I looked kind of cool for the time. If you were to look now at this picture, my senior picture, you'd be like, that is the most ridiculous thing you've ever seen. But it was cool.
I think I may have seen that
Yeah,
picture.
I've shown it. I'm not ashamed.
No, sure.
Sometimes I'm not ashamed. Depends.
Okay, this man's hair game was on
It
point.
was- when I met my wife, it was to here, and that's one thing that she saw first. She's like, I like this guy's hair. And so So
See.
it worked, and then I got rid of it. So I still have a little bit. It's fading. It's going back there.
Oh, yeah. It's all right.
Yeah.
You're doing the spiky thing. It works.
I tried
So you either do spiky or you just take it all off, and there you go.
Right. Yeah. I forget what we were even talking about.
So we're talking about your early life.
Oh, yeah,
You
so-
were extremely cool in high school.
Oh, yeah. We'll go with that. But as far as like performing, I liked making family laugh, but it was a lot of it was imitation.
Okay.
Like I would pretend to be Tim Conway from Carol Burnett. He was awesome. Jack Tripper from Three's Company. I do all their kind of bits just to make people laugh.
Yeah.
So when people see me now in front of people and doing comedy or doing magic, they assume that I've been doing it my entire life. And I think I
Right.
wanted to, but it just didn't take off until the magic. And the magic is definitely what led me to doing all the stuff
Everything
I'm doing
else.
now.
Yeah. So it was sort of the vehicle to sort of get everything that was already in here out.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay. That's
Give me
cool.
an excuse to be in front of people and perform in front of people. Like if I go to a party now,
Yeah.
and there's a deck of cards there, I'll just,
And so
I'll
so
weasel
that
my way in to show you some magic.
that sort of parlayed into the hosting stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Doing so you do events, you do corporate type stuff. I
Yeah.
know you've done some school stuff, and the big one, which is Cash Explosion.
Yeah, that was very cool.
Yeah.
Or I say was, it's still going on, but when I got the job,
Yeah.
it was very cool. So getting laid off from Lucent Technology in 2002 was terrifying, because we had just had our son was 2 years old, so my wife had quit working to stay home with him.
Yeah.
So I get laid off, and I'm like, we got to figure this out. And I said, this is my chance to take this comedy and magic, full time and do more of this.
Yeah.
But until I get to the point where I've got clientele built up, we got to figure something out. So I went to FedEx and delivered for FedEx for about a year and a half. And then in November of 2005, I quit FedEx to focus on the magic and the comedy, because I was working second shift at FedEx. I was turning down work because, most of the gigs were in the evening.
Well, yeah. Right.
So that was November 2005. So we, worked on this for a while, the comedy and magic, and my wife was working again. And then in in July of 2006, my agent that books a lot of like local commercials I had done called and said the Ohio Lottery was doing a new show called Make Me Famous, Make Me Rich.
Okay.
Cash Explosion had been around for 20 years or so.
Yeah.
They were going to change up and go with a brand new show. They were looking for a host.
Got it.
Long story short, after 4 or 5 auditions and callbacks, I got that gig. Did that for a year, and that was in October of 2006, was when that started. That show lasted for a year, and then the Cash Explosion faithful wanted their Cash Explosion back.
Right.
So they ended up keeping me, and brought back Sharon Bicknell and brought in Sherry McLean, and the 3 of us hosted together. Did that for up until last year, and then they made another change, and Sharon and Sherry are still doing live drawings, and they're awesome.
Yeah.
But they brought in Elisa Henry from here in Columbus to help me host, and it's going great. We're having a blast.
It's cool. It's cool. It's funny how many connections we actually have. Like we've been around each other for years, but like you're like, hey, that's we're friends on Facebook, right? But like me and Elisa, I've known her for ages and ages and ages,
right?
And I mean, the little we know of each other is actually from me getting your mail.
What was it, a W-2 or something?
Yeah, we managed to work for the same company doing some entertainment stuff, and for some reason they sent a couple of checks and a couple. I'm like, David McCreary.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, I think we're friends on Facebook.
I remember I showed up. I had no problem coming out and picking up the check. But when you called, I got a W-2 for you. I'm like, I'll swing by.
I get it. It's like, you know. But so that's pretty cool. So let's talk a little bit about your kind of early influences. Well, I guess reasonably early influences on the side of magic.
Okay.
So who's your guy or gal?
There's a guy in Yellow Springs, Ohio. His name's David Williamson. Any magician knows this guy. When it comes to comedy magic, he is the greatest. He's absolutely insane. Okay. He's absolutely brilliant. Not only is he extremely funny, but his magic is, top notch. Yeah. So and there's times when you get a great comedian and they do okay magic, which is still very entertaining. Right. But like if you took and had David Williamson just do his magic, it would blow you away. And if you just have him come in and talk to you, you'd lose it the entire time because he's hysterical. That's right. So David Williamson will probably always be right there at the top of my list. Absolutely love that guy. And he's local, and every time I see him, we talk. So it's like when I first saw him years ago, when I first started, I'm like, this guy's amazing. And now he's like, I wouldn't say he's a buddy like we hang out, but when we see each other at conferences, we hang out and we talk, and he's awesome. But then a couple years ago, I saw a guy perform at Magifest, which is the big magic convention here in town. Yes. A guy named Rob Zabrecki from L.A. He used to sing for a band, Possum Dixon, which was like an alternative band. I was more into hair bands at the time, so I really didn't know that band. But I saw this guy perform at Magifest, and absolutely blew me away. And he's got this kind of is it Anthony Perkins? Is that the bad guy from Psycho?
I should know that. Yeah, I don't know.
I can't. The scary guy.
The guy, you know the guy.
Yeah, he's got that like persona, and that's his show, and it's this dark comedy. Nice. It's just you got to check him out. You have to go to YouTube and just type in Rob Zabrecki Magic. There you go.
Can you spell Zabrecki?
Zabrecky.
There you go.
Yeah. Oh man, and it's he got a standing ovation. I think a lot of people didn't know at the time who he was, and we were just blindsided by this. It was a brilliant character. It was very original. You talk about being creative. Yeah. Very original. A lot of the magic was tricks that we've all seen before, like we all, as the magicians sitting in the room, right, presented in a way with a character that was just, it was so good. It was so good. Yeah. Yeah. So he's at the top now, and I look at him for like creativity as far as like character, and not that I do a character on stage. It's an exaggeration of me. But, right. Yeah. But he's just, his show is great. Cool. Great.
Well, talking about your stage work, I mean, tell me what's going on in your head when you're on stage. I know, you have a certain amount of magic tricks you're going to do. Right. You have a certain amount of shtick you need to do. Yeah. But where are you for that? Is that just like I'm at home and you're just, coming to join me? Yeah. Or are you actually like, really clinical about it? What's your thought process?
It's definitely not clinical. I have, like you said, I have a set list. I know what tricks I'm going to do, and I have jokes that go in there. And there's times when I try to direct the people that I bring on stage, because every trick I do I use somebody from the stage or from the audience, or they may stay in the audience, but I'm talking to them. I don't do anything that's just visual in my show. It's all with somebody. So I have stuff that I kind of maybe have to kind of direct them a little bit, but a lot of times it's just riffing with people.
Yeah.
Bring them up. I don't know where it's going to go. I've had some of my greatest laughs from people saying something in the show that I didn't expect. I had a lady. So I do this thing. I do this thing where I have a card selected. This was you talk about success. You've got different levels of shows. I was at a senior center just a couple months ago.
Okay.
I had a blast. I loved it. I bring this little old lady up, and I have her take a card, and then she puts the card back in. I shuffle it up and lose the card, and then I have to smell her hand is one of the things I do. So I smell her hand, and it's just goofy. It's stupid. And so I smell her hand. I go back to smelling the cards because I'm trying to find the card that she just held.
Yeah.
And she goes, "Hey, come here." And I'm like I lean down, and she goes, "I just wiped my butt." Nobody else heard it in the place, but I absolutely lost it. I absolutely lost it.
Oh, gosh.
And I couldn't control myself because this adorable little old lady.
Yeah.
Hey, I just wiped my butt. And I think she was serious.
She was probably
I'm sure
serious.
she washed her hands,
right?
But it was.
And then it's one of those. Do I let everybody else in?
I ended up letting them after we got through that trick. But it was great. Now that's something I can't work back into. It's hard to work.
You can't really set up for that.
But there's things that happen every once in a while that somebody will say something from the audience that I'm like, I got to make that happen in my show later. And the real trick is making everything I do seem like it's the first time it's ever happened.
Right.
I mean, even with the magic, I've done certain card tricks, whether it's close up or stage. I'm still doing some of the classics that I learned 27 years ago when I was 20.
Yeah.
And I have to make it feel like it's just as much fun for me as it is for the people watching, or just as amazing.
Yeah.
What helps me is their reaction. I feed off their reaction. Mm-hmm. So it's not difficult to pretend like I'm absolutely loving what I'm doing, because I am.
Yeah.
I am. But it's the same trick, or I could do it, in my sleep, but I have to make it seem like it's,
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of interesting because the punchline already,
right?
It's like you've been there already, so it's not you already have the game down, but to actually perform it as new every time is pretty interesting.
Yeah. Oh, and here's a funny line that again, it's not something I can work in, but talk about funny lines. I was doing magic at Easton, which for those of you watching is like the
big mall.
It's a mall, fancy
shopping
mall.
center.
Yeah. So it's Christmas time, and they had me come in to do magic for like lines, whether it's the line for buying gift cards or Santa Claus's line. And I don't do a lot of like little kid stuff, but I can entertain kids for like I love kids. I just much rather fool adults. Yeah. But so at one point I have all these kids lined up, and their parents are standing behind them, and I'm doing this card trick, and there's one guy I noticed him standing in the back. He's got longer hair. He's wearing a long black trench coat. He wasn't scary looking, but had like an Undertaker, the wrestler, T-shirt on.
Okay, cool.
So I'm just doing stuff, and so I finish the trick, and the card that they had signed goes to my wallet, and everybody applauds, and it's going great. And the kid, he was 20, probably about 20. He goes, "Folks, people," while they're applauding. He stops them, "People." He goes, "I am a level 5 sorcerer, and I don't know what just happened here." I'm like, that's the best line ever. I don't know. I have no idea what a level 5 sorcerer is, but I just fooled him.
Oh, God.
And everybody's applauding like this, and when he said that, they're like,
a level 5.
They all kind of walked away.
Is there like is there an ID for that?
I don't know. I should have asked for proof.
So good. So good.
But he was so serious. I'm a level 5 sorcerer, and I don't even know what's going on here. So that's talk about success.
Yeah.
I have fooled a level 5 sorcerer.
Hey, there you go, right? Alex in the chat is asking, do you have a favorite trick that somebody else has done?
That's a good question. Man, going back to Zabrecki, every trick he does is really, really fantastic. Not because of the magic, but because of the comedy and the character that he has. Wow, that's a good question. Is there a classic trick? There's a guy named Juan Tamarez, and magicians watching would be like, how dare you call him a guy named Juan Tamarez? Juan is, I think he's close to 90 now. They call him the maestro. As far as like magic and being fooled, he will fry every magician in the room. He's just absolutely brilliant. He's going to be at Magifest this year, which is the big magic.
Shout out to Magifest, by the way.
Yeah.
Shout out to Magifest.
Big magic convention they have here in Columbus every year. It's like the 80, I think we're on the 86th, 87th.
Wow.
Magifest. Yeah, so it's been going on forever.
Yeah.
And he will be there, and I guarantee you when he lectures and when he performs, that room will be absolutely packed.
Yeah.
So there's another one. And it's almost like I tell people, if I tell like normal people, non-magicians, laymen, to go watch Juan Tamarez, you're going to be fooled. And you're going to think that's amazing. But to know how amazing it is, you may not realize unless you're a magician.
Yeah, totally.
Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I mean, because you understand the show versus the technique.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
And that's really cool.
Yeah.
I have a little bit of magic under my belt. Just a
nice.
little. I mean, like, I worked at a mini golf place and did magic for kids. So, like, let's put this in a category. But anyway, tell me about getting noticed. How do you go? I mean, because there's hundreds of thousands of magicians out there now, especially with social media.
Yeah.
You know, there's a large pool, and saying, okay, I need to differentiate myself from every other guy or gal that does card tricks.
That's a great question, and I don't know how I can do that without. Well, here, let me back up.
Yeah.
So in Columbus, there are a lot of really good magicians, and we're all buddies, and there's no like rivalry or anything that I've ever seen. So as far as that's concerned, everybody gets along. We all love each other and hang out. But we had a guy come into town. You may have seen him as Piff the Magic Dragon. Have you heard of Piff?
I know the name. I haven't seen him.
He was on America's Got Talent. Did very well there. He was on Penn and Teller Fool Us. But he came to town as himself, not Piff, to lecture and teach us some stuff.
Yeah.
And somebody asked him about why are you a dragon? Because he dresses up as like a dragon, like a silvery dragon costume, and it's goofy and but it's funny and it's great. And he said because he's from England, he said because in England, if somebody wants to hire a magician, they can go to the internet and find hundreds of people in England to come and do magic.
Right.
But if somebody wants a magic dragon, there's only one place they can go, and that's to come to me. And the magic that he's doing is great.
Yeah.
But it's not a whole lot. I mean, he's got some of his own routines that he's developed, but it's not a whole lot different than any other magician that would go. But he's built this character, this magic dragon, and it's brilliant and it's funny and he's good and he's got this hook to bring people to him.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
right.
as far as I'm so like I mentioned earlier, I'm so bad with marketing.
Yeah.
I've got business cards. You're talking old school, but I forget. I don't even think to pass those out when I'm doing strolling magic. And there's some tricks you can do with business cards, so they end up with one. And so a lot of my stuff is just word of mouth, and I have no problem if I'm booked for an event sending them to another buddy of mine here in town.
Right. Well, you do have a bunch of social media. Let's do your social media plugs real quick here. So you're on Instagram.
I'm on Instagram. It's David McCreary.
David McCreary. Okay. And Facebook.
Yep. And that is. Here's another example of me. I've got my personal page, which is David McCreary, and I'm on there all the time.
Yeah.
And then I've got the comedy and magic of David McCreary, which has maybe 800 followers, but I don't do anything on there.
Okay.
The last time I was on there was, I think, not this past February, but the February before I was in Las Vegas and got some pictures taken with Penn and Teller, and I put them on there.
Nice. Oh, Penn and Teller are awesome, by the way.
Oh, yeah, great.
Okay, so you got Twitter, you have Facebook, you have Instagram.
Yep.
Right. Do you have any YouTube? I know you have some videos
I'm
up.
on there. I have a page, but again, I don't do much with it.
Yeah.
I've got a couple videos on there. If you just Google or YouTube David McCreary, you'll see a bunch of stuff will pop up.
Gotcha.
I've done a bunch of stuff with name dropping the guys from 21 Pilots.
Yes, you have an amazing interview with 21.
That's a fun interview.
It's so good. If you get a chance, just search David McCreary, 21 Pilots.
Yeah.
The interview is amazing. I'll leave it at that.
Even more amazing though are the comments and people that think that was a real interview.
Yeah, it's a gag. It is a gag, but it's probably the funniest interview I've seen. I mean, no lie. I was doing my research a little earlier, and I'm like, oh my god, this is hilarious.
Yeah, we had a blast, and that was right before they released Vessel, and I'd known them both for a while, and I said, hey, let's do it. Let's do an interview. And like, yeah, let's have some fun. So yeah, it's great. So there's some stuff there, and I did David McCreary's Exposed, which was shot at Magifest, and it's just me hanging out with other magicians and
cool,
getting goofy, and they would do a trick or two. So and then I'll just throw stuff up there.
We're talking with David McCreary, Mr. Magician.
I forgot to wear a T-shirt.
What? You went straight for it.
He's like, I sweat a little bit. Feel.
That's
you're gonna feel. You're gonna feel.
I gotta go for it. It's a yes and kind of thing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So we were talking about all the magical, wonderful things that you've done. And you said there's a bunch of like YouTube-y stuff. So what kind of stuff you do as far as video and that kind of deal?
Videos to make people laugh. I'm lucky enough to go to a very hip, fun church. I know that's for a lot of people. They're like, there's no such thing.
Yeah, right.
But we find it very important to make people laugh, even on Sunday morning. So we get the opportunity to shoot some videos, and some of it's through that. Some of it's just me getting silly. I need to do more. I just put a video on Instagram maybe a couple weeks ago of me doing a trick that I learned, and you can hear, if you listen and you hear me talking and you really focus, you can tell I'm talking kind of quiet, because I learned a trick online at about 12 o'clock at night. And I'm like, I want to put this on the internet because this is a cool trick, and it's one that doesn't need somebody selecting a card, so I could do it by myself.
Right.
And I put it online, and it got a really good response. I'm like, why am I not doing more of this? Why am I not shooting more stuff?
Yeah.
So I like just being in front of people. I like making people laugh. Life can sometimes suck, and if you can make somebody laugh through a video, or if I can't get to you live, then let me try and make you laugh with a video.
I mean, and that's how things are going. It's like, okay, you can have a reasonably decent relationship with people through social media.
Right.
So do that. Do that. Snapchat.
That's
Snapchat
right.
with the kids and all that.
I don't Snapchat yet. I need to learn.
That one I still don't get. Like Instagram, okay, I can understand that. Facebook, okay, I got it.
Here's my thought with Snapchat isn't Snapchat where how old do we sound right now?
What are we doing with the snapping and the chatting?
But it goes away quickly, right?
It does. It does.
I don't want to do something that was really funny and then it just go away.
Gone.
I want to keep it forever. And maybe that's a little self-absorbed, but I do.
I feel the same way. I've had this conversation before. I'm like, okay, if I make some kind of content, and then they see it, and then it's gone, and that's it.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a little like, come to my show if you wanted to just see it and it goes away.
On Instagram, I haven't done any of the the stories at the top of the thing because it goes away.
It goes away. Yeah. Right. So it's different. Now I did that the other day. I'm like, okay, I got to figure the stories thing out. But Snapchat's still a thing, although Instagram is kind of eating their lunch. But anyway, that's commentary. So you do let's talk inspirational, motivational stuff. You do motivational speaking as well?
Yeah, I was doing magic. I do this a lot with my hands. I just realized I'm gonna sit on them. I may not be able to talk good. So I already screwed up. Talk good.
I talk
I'm just
good.
Keep my hands out. I was doing my stand-up show at a event with like older teens, and a guy came up to me afterwards and said, "Hey, have you ever considered speaking at a high school?"
Yeah.
And I had before, but like for a friend, they asked me to come in and speak, so it wasn't like a regular thing. And I told him that I'd love to find out more about it, and I got hooked up with Relevant Speakers Network, who the guy that runs it is Joel Penton. He was a Buckeye from 2000, 2005. And
go Buckeyes.
Yeah, go Bucks. And his this Speakers Network grew bigger. Or his work grew bigger and bigger, where he couldn't go out to every show, so he started bringing in speakers.
Yeah.
And I hooked up with them about 2 years ago, and it's a blast. I go in, I talk to kids, I do some magic, and I've been, like last year, I was in California, Texas, New York, Pennsylvania. I'm trying to think a bunch of places, and Ohio, obviously.
Yeah,
it had a blast. I love it. I like traveling. Now that my kid's older,
yeah,
I it doesn't hurt as bad to leave.
Right,
Actually,
right. You
there's
can
times
go
when
do
I want to
things.
leave because he's 18 and probably watching right now.
So like, you never want to leave, is what you're saying.
Right.
Okay, so and now the big one, because we haven't really talked about this, Cash Explosion. What was the process like auditioning and finally getting the gig?
Well, so like I said, my agent called me just out of the blue, and that's, she would call with other things also, but she just, when this idea of a game show host came up, she decided to call me personally.
Yeah.
And she called me and said, "Hey, they're holding this audition for a new show. I thought, cool, let's do this." So I went down to the agent's office, and the first week, or the first interview, or the first audition was, I had to ad-lib an intro to a game show.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if they gave me like a rough idea of what I was doing. I think they may have told me the name, Make Me Famous, Make Me Rich, and I had to welcome the audience, and from what I hear, there were 800 people or so that auditioned for that.
Yeah.
No. I think the first audition there were like 3,000 from what I heard.
Wow.
And that's not just here in Columbus. That's statewide. And so after that audition, I thought, they said if you get the call back, it'll be next week. And when I left there, I thought, okay, I'm going to get the call back. Yeah. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but I knew that I did exactly what they wanted.
Nailed it.
Yeah. And I had done a little bit of television before that I think helped lead that. Something you may not even know that I did, but we can talk about that later. So I thought, okay, I expect a call back. Mm-hmm. I expect at least a call back.
Yeah.
And I did. I got a call back, and now this was doing the same type of thing, only an outro. Mm-hmm. So we just did the game show, and now I have to pretend like I'm telling people to tune in next week for this game show.
Right.
Felt like I nailed that.
Mm-hmm.
Thought, okay, I expect a call back. And I got a call back. So now they're down to a lot less people.
Yeah.
And I think, I can't remember how many, but anyways, they're down to a lot less people. Now this part is now an interview with the people at Mills James, which is the production company here in Columbus that shoots the lottery show.
Yeah.
So I go in and I do an interview with them, and I leave there because I'm actually sitting with people that are also auditioning, like out in the lobby area. I'm sitting with people, and I'm seeing all these people. I'm like, oh, he'd be great at it. She'd be great at this.
Isn't that the worst?
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, yeah, I'd totally hire him.
Yeah,
Wait
exactly.
a minute. No.
Exactly. I had no faith in myself. So I go into the interview, and it's sitting with 4 people that out of the 4, there's 3 of them that are still very involved in the show. And it went well, and I made them laugh a little bit, but I left there thinking, okay,
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, that was... Yeah. It wasn't that I thought I screwed it up, but I thought I saw a bunch of good people in there, so if they don't call me back, I gave it a run. I got my face in front of some people, so maybe if something else comes up.
Totally.
Then I got the call back to go in. Now, they had sent us a disc of the show that they, like the show being played, but not like people playing it, just like how it kind of ran, like the graphics and stuff.
Yeah, kind of a storyboard.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we had to kind of learn it on our own and then run the game for those 4 people that interviewed me.
Oh,
so I go back in and we run the game, and I left there thinking, okay, that felt good, because they said some nice things when I left. One thing was I'm kind of a math nerd. I like doing math.
Okay.
So during the game,
nerd.
I'm a nerd in so many ways. I could keep up with, and I grew up liking game shows, so I liked hosting it in this little audition, and I would keep up. I would keep people, like, pretending like people are watching on the camera that I'm in front of, keeping them updated, like so and so needs to win $1,500 in this next move, or they're going to be eliminated. And they told me that afterwards, down the road, that's one thing that helped get me the gig, was because
the solid play-by-play.
Yeah, I knew I could do the math.
That's cool.
So I left there thinking, okay, this is it. I either got it or not, because this was the last audition, and they told us that they would know something within a couple weeks. Now this was 13 years ago, so some of the numbers may be off, but didn't hear anything after a couple weeks. Waited for another week. Finally called my agent and said, hey, have you heard anything yet? Because normally if you go to an audition and you don't get a part, they're not going to call you to tell you don't get it, because there's hundreds of people auditioning for whatever that is.
Right.
But we're now down to, I think by this point, by this last thing, they're down to 10 people. So I know they were going to let us know, or she would have known, my agent would have known if somebody else got it. So
Right.
even if they didn't call me, she would know that it was filled.
It's filled, yeah.
So I call her, and she's like, nope, haven't heard anything yet. I'm like, okay, well, that's good news. Because I was kind of getting depressed, thinking, well, they were supposed to tell us last week.
Right.
So I went on another week or so, maybe another couple weeks, and I called her back and said, hey, still nothing? She's like, nope, nothing yet. So she said, I'll call over at Mills James.
Yeah.
So she calls over there, and she calls me back. She said, I talked to them. They said that they still haven't made a decision, which is good news. And my agent said that she had said that that's good news for me that they hadn't made a decision yet.
Yeah.
And I still don't know what that means exactly, other than
it's 50-50,
Yeah,
yes or no.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
if they haven't made a decision, it's Schrodinger's gig,
right,
right?
exactly. Yeah. So my wife and I went out to see Talladega Nights with Will Ferrell.
Mm-hmm.
We got home late that night. I feel like we just went, and this is back when we still had answering machines. So I had an answering machine, but I think we got home and we went straight up to bed, and in the morning I get up, and I remember Sebastian, who is my son, but he at the time was 6. I remember he's in the bathtub. This is early in the morning, like 8 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
And I'm helping. He may have been 5, but anyways, I'm helping him, and I hear the phone ring, and my wife has already gone to work, and I'm like, that's got to be somebody from Mills James.
Right.
That's got to be. So I hear the phone pick up, the answering machine pick up, and I'm listening to at the top of the steps, and it's Scott Lanham from Mills James. I said, hey, David, this is Scott from Mills James. So I run back in, I drive Sebastian off. I'm like, buddy, I got to go downstairs. So I run downstairs, and I listen to the machine, and there's 2 messages on there. One that he had left the night before that I didn't check because we got home late.
Right.
Which is probably a good thing because I probably wouldn't have slept all night long.
Right.
So I call him back, and I'm like, hey, it's David. And he says, well, as you know, we were holding auditions, and you were in the running for this. And I'm like, oh, this doesn't sound good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he goes, we believe you are the man for the job. I'm like, yeah, and I'm freaking out. And I said, thanks so much. And I remember calling. He's like, but don't tell anybody yet because we don't want people to know about the show changing and all of
Right.
that.
Yeah.
And I told everybody I know. I can tell them now because it's 13 years later.
Right. Yeah. They can't really do much
Yeah.
about that now.
But it was, man, what an amazing feeling that was to get that gig. Because there's so many times when you go to an audition, whether it's for a little commercial or whatever, and you're like, I really want this gig and this job, and you never get the call. So it was a good feeling. One funny thing that happened during that, so this was right before the audition when I went in to interview for the job where I had the actual interview at Mills James. Mm-hmm. That was on a Monday morning. The Friday before, I was at New Albany Country Club doing strolling magic at a big event.
Yeah.
And I walked up to one table, and I'm doing some magic for them at this table, and they're all loving it, but there's one guy that's reminded me a lot of me because he was just really into it, just having a blast. And I asked him his name, and he said, Cameron. And I said, okay, and I had him sign his name on a card. And in my head, I'm thinking, I'm wondering if this is Cameron Mitchell from here in Columbus.
Yeah, the restaurant
guy.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if this is Cameron Mitchell, because he's at this fancy country club, and just for some reason, I thought,
Yeah.
it'd be really cool to meet him. I never asked. I did some magic for him, and I left, and come walking by the table a little later, and this Cameron asked me to come over again, and he has some new friends sitting there, and he asked me to do some more magic for him. So I do some more stuff and said goodbye. Well, then on Monday morning, I'm sitting outside the studio where they're holding these auditions, and I see this Cameron guy walking towards me. And I'm like, hey. And he goes, hey, you're the magician from Friday night. I'm like, yeah. I said, and I asked him, I said, are you here for an audition? Are you auditioning for this, or are you work for Mills James?
Right.
He's like, I kind of work for Mills James. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And he said some more great things about the magic. He said, hey, when you're done with their audition, would you mind coming upstairs and doing some magic for my partner? And as soon as he said magic for my partner, I'm like, oh, this guy sounds important.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. I'll be more than happy to. So I said, how should I find you? He said, well, when you're done here, just go to the front desk and ask for Cameron James, as in Mills James.
Yeah.
And I'm like, No, this is the guy whose name is on the thing. And
right.
I just asked if he worked for Mills James.
Right.
And
do you work here?
Yeah. You parking cars out front? You're the janitor? What's going on here? So I go in and I do the interview, and I leave the interview, and I go up to the front desk, and he had already left. He had to leave, and he actually told the receptionist to tell them that I apologize. So I get home, and I'm kind of embarrassed that I didn't know who. I mean, I don't know why I would know who it was.
Right, but still,
still.
I'm in your building.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So I decide to get online and send him an email. And I want to send him an email kind of telling him, hey, sorry, it was great seeing you again. Sorry I didn't know who you were. But I also didn't want to make it feel like I'm trying to weasel my way in with the cash explosion stuff. So I never really even said anything about the cash explosion. I just said, hey, great seeing you again. Sorry I didn't get a chance to run into you afterwards. Maybe we'll figure something out in the future. And he sent back. And I said, sorry that I didn't know who you were. And he sent back a email that said, hey, great seeing you again. Sorry I had to leave. He said, and he laughed about me not knowing who it was. And he said, I don't know if it helps or not, but I just want to let you know that I told the people in charge that you would be my pick for this show. So I don't know if he just said that being nice or to me, or if he actually did it, but it couldn't have hurt. But
totally. That's great.
It was still funny.
Right,
he is a great guy. I see him every once in a while around there, but it was just kind of funny that coincidence. Like was this supposed to happen? Was I supposed to run into this guy? And it's funny when you look back on stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally. Speaking of auditions, so tell me about the ones that you didn't get. What's the one that still sticks in your brain that you're like, ooh, I really wanted that one?
I got a call back for Ides of March, which was a George Clooney movie.
Yeah.
I probably did all right. Not a lot of people talk about it.
Yeah.
But I got a call back for that. And it was just small, super small part, a couple lines.
Yeah.
But I'm like, oh, this will be kind of cool. And
right.
not that I thought it would make me lead to anything. It would just be kind of cool. And that didn't happen. A lot of them, you just can't let it bother you. I'm trying to think if there's anything that's really devastated me, and I don't think there is. Maybe just recently I did. This was for audition to be on the Match Game with Alec Baldwin, not to host, just to be one of the contestants.
Okay.
Yeah. And I got a call and had to do a Skype call with the casting director, and he asked me 4 or 5 questions, Match Game questions, and when it was over, he's like, "All right, I'm gonna send this on as a recommendation to NBC or whatever the network is that does that."
Yeah.
And he says, "I absolutely want to get you on this show." He said, "You were great. My goal is to get you on this show." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm in. This is good." The casting director is going to tell them. And then they sent an email, said, "Unfortunately, we aren't picking you to be on the thing," and that kind of crushed me. And they said, "Be sure to try again next year," and I haven't. But I don't know. I guess I'm still a little bitter.
I felt the pain. Did you feel the pain right there? I felt the pain.
I would have been so much fun.
I would have been amazing on the show.
But I don't know though, because they ask questions like, "What do you do for a living?"
Yeah.
So I had to tell them that I'm a game show host here in Ohio. So I don't know if there's anything that.
Well, you could have just said magician.
Yeah, that's probably what I should have done. I should just kept my mouth shut.
Yeah, that would be. I mean, there's any number of directions to go from there. Yeah, I'm a magician.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know if you've seen this one. That should get me the gig.
That's solid. Did you guys feel that?
That was good. I'm just working on that one now. There's the thing is with auditions, I've talked to a lot of younger people that are going to auditions now.
Yeah.
The thing is, and like I mentioned when I talked about going through the auditions for Cash Explosion, is that even if it doesn't work out, I got my face in front of some people.
Yeah.
And maybe later down the road, they'll remember me like, hey, that was that guy that wasn't good for that part.
Yeah.
But they'll be good for another part.
Cool.
And I'll go there early on. I haven't done it as much lately because I'm busy doing other things. But early on, I would go to every audition they sent something out for. If I even remotely, and I remember them calling me for a guy. It was a funny commercial, but it was a prisoner named Ray that they wanted me audition for. Like, I'm not sure I can pull off.
I'm not sure.
A prisoner named Ray. Yeah, but I went.
Yeah,
I went.
Yeah.
And they probably thought, why is this guy auditioning? But it was. Again, it got my face in front of people.
Put him in a white tank top, maybe.
Exactly.
I can see that. I can see that happening. So, tell me about the process of getting an agent for magic and getting an agent for acting and stuff like that.
So, the agent for acting is, you just go in, you talk to them. I looked up a couple because there's plenty man, I have so many people have called me and said, hey, tell me about this agency that there's people coming to town that say they can get my kid on all the Disney shows.
Yeah.
All I have to do is pay them $3,500 to come to a class.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
That's a scam. That's a scam. What they want is, or what you want to find is an agent that's actually booking like local stuff, or depending on where you are. I'm in Columbus, Ohio, so not a lot of LA stuff happening out here.
Right.
But find an agent that's booking for local commercials and they're not asking for any money. The only money they asked me for was like a $75 fee so they can put my image on their Facebook page or their website, and then they tell me to go out and get a good headshot, which you pay somebody else for that.
Right.
So yeah, good agent. There's Cam Talent in Columbus, Heyman Talent, who I'm with now.
Me too.
Yeah. And they're great.
Yeah.
And the problem is for me is because I do lottery, it's union, so not a lot of other union work comes to town, so I can't go to a lot of auditions now.
Gotcha.
But yeah, and as far as the agency, I work with a couple different things. The main one I work with in town is Class Acts, and again, they're not like a manager. They have people will call them and say, hey, we have an event, we need a magician, or we need an MC. Do you have anybody?
Right.
And they'll send them my information.
Okay.
And they're awesome to work with. But again, I went in to them and showed them some magic and got to know them, and they said, yeah, we'd love to, pass it because they don't want to send somebody. They don't want to send a big client, somebody that not good or shouldn't be doing anything in front of anybody.
True.
Yeah, I should probably look into maybe getting a manager, but again, when it comes to that kind of stuff, the business side of stuff, I'm really bad at it. I'm so bad at it.
Says the guy with a gig on Cash Explosion.
Yeah, I looked into that.
I worked so hard to get there.
Yeah.
Had 5 managers.
Well, what's funny is you talk about that and how, like, I guess from an outsider looking in, or somebody that's not doing it, it's kind of cool to say, hey, that guy's got a TV gig.
Right.
But I do the same thing when I see my magic buddies or my other entertainment buddies when they're talking about all these gigs they have. I'm like, oh my gosh, man, wish I could get a gig like that. So it's just like,
yeah, how you see success keeps getting higher as you attain success.
Right. and it is very cool hosting Cash Explosion here in Ohio. That's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah.
But I still, like I said, I look at my magic buddies who are saying, hey, I got a magic buddy, Michael Kent. He's a good friend of mine. He does college tours.
Yeah.
And I just don't have time to do college tours, and I see all his posting, like doing this school. I'm like, oh man, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
That would be so cool. I wish I could do that. And I just don't have time, and I'm glad he's doing it, but you kind of get jealous seeing other people working.
Yeah.
I know, that's weird.
Right? Yeah. Really crazy, right? So what what national game show do you want? Like current or past? What national game show would you do?
Like, man, I would love to do any game show.
Yeah.
That let me be me. You look at the old game shows, as much fun as they were, a lot of them were the hosts were very much actors playing the part of game show hosts.
Yeah.
And I even said that about Cash Explosion for a while. At the beginning, I was playing the part of a game show host. And here, even more recently, we've loosened up a bit, and I can be me, and they want that.
Yeah.
And that's just the progression of the show itself.
Yeah.
But like, I would love to be on any game show now. Would be great, just to be in front of people. But when I watch like Wayne Brady on Let's Make a Deal.
Yeah.
That looks like so much fun.
That'd be the one.
Yeah, he's doing improv on there, and he's got a great team.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so much fun to watch. And even some of the more straightforward shows they're just a lot of fun. Jamie Foxx is awesome on Shazam. Like Drew Carey is great on Price is Right. But that's more of a game show host as opposed to the looseness, from what I see anyways, looseness of Make Me Famous,
Right.
Let's Make a Deal.
Yeah, there's not as much space around
exactly.
it. It's the games.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, I'd love to be on a game show. I'd love to do anything. I just want to be in front of people.
Yeah.
You know? And some of that, of course, is wanting to do it. Some of it is just the success. Like, all right, David's moved from Catch Explosion to whatever show.
Family Feud.
Yeah, exactly.
Or whatever.
And Steve Harvey's brilliant.
Oh yeah, he's killing it. And he does everything.
Yeah,
He's got 17 shows,
right.
and I don't even know how do you even do that?
It's the same.
How do you do that?
Ryan Seacrest, all these guys are working. Like, how do you have free time to do anything?
Right.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So let's see. What else? What do you got coming up? What kind of projects are you working on?
I don't know.
Did I mention I have a game show?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, see that they tell me what to do.
Yeah.
And like I said, lately, since Elisa's come on and they've changed the format, it's been a lot looser, and we've had a chance to hang out and just be fun on the show, which I think you need with Cash Explosion, because you can't really play the game. Anybody who's watched it, you can't really play the game at home.
Yeah.
Because the way it's set up, like Wheel of Fortune, you can try to answer the questions.
Right.
Same with Jeopardy and guess the price on Price is Right. Excuse me. But you can't do that on Cash Explosion because of the way it's set up. You can't guess stuff because later they don't reveal what you could have won.
Yeah.
So it has to be fun to watch.
Right.
And they're letting us loosen up a little bit
Yeah.
and joke around with the contestants. And if the contestants aren't super fun, then we can joke around with each other.
Yeah.
But it's a blast. It's a fun show to do. It's so much fun.
It's cool.
So I got that. Obviously, I'll continue doing that. With the school season starting back up, I'm going to do some more, obviously, motivational speaking. And I want to fine tune that. Last year was my first full year of the speaking at schools, and I've learned the talk that I've been doing is getting a really good response. But I feel like I can fine tune it and tighten it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I'll do middle schools and high schools, and there's a huge difference between middle school and high school, where the talk may be relatively the same. The magic that I do may need to change, because some of the stuff, one of the tricks I start off with starts off kind of lame on purpose.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a
right.
gag. It's a funny gag.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the younger kids in the middle school, like the 6th graders and 7th graders, don't realize it. They just think they think I'm a bad magician, and I lose them immediately. So I want to fine tune that. I want to be better at my motivational speaking. What I'm doing now is good.
Yeah.
But I want it to be. I want to figure out a way for it to be like innovative or really, really outside of the box, as opposed to just a typical motivational speaker that comes in there and
it
talks
says you're awesome, go do things.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So I got to figure that out. I'm a really bad procrastinator. So
Yeah.
And my creativity either happens like in the shower or while I'm driving a car. It's just that mindless stuff.
Right, yeah, totally.
Washing off or driving and you lose track of where you are.
Yeah.
When I did some stuff at the Funny Bone here in Columbus quite a few years ago, it was a 13-week run of hosting a show that was being televised. I was just the MC that never made it to the air. They called and asked me to do some stuff. And this was early on in my comedy and magic. And I decided that I was going to write new material every week, so I didn't do just the magic stuff. So what I would do is I would clean the house. And when I'm cleaning the house, vacuuming and dishes, my mind was free to write stuff. And my wife loved that time because I had the house spotless. Yeah. I should do some more of that.
Yeah, totally. But we're talking to David McCreary, magician, host of, co-host of Cash Explosion, host of other things, and motivational speaker, etc. Tattoo enthusiast.
Yeah, 8 of them that started in 2010 was my first one. So
Yeah.
in the past 8 years, I've gotten 8. This was my newest, and that was last year on my birthday, which is coming up Thursday. So I may have to get a
Happy birthday.
Thank you. I may have to do some more ink.
Nice. I always say I want to, and I can't come up with anything that I want permanently.
Well, see, that's
Like, that's the hard part, right?
Yep.
It's like,
Yep.
tattoos are great on other people.
Right.
You know? It's like, I want one.
But once you start, you are not going to stop.
That's what I hear. Like, if you get one tattoo, forget it. You're going to get 20.
Yeah. And so I've got these down here were the first on my arms, but I was afraid to do stuff like from the sleeves down because of television stuff.
Because business stuff, yeah.
And I've got a big, cool-looking lion on the back of my leg that was supposed to be here.
Yeah.
And I chickened out when I got to the tattoo place. I'm like, just put it on my calf just because.
Right.
What if
I'd like
something
to
happens?
work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So So I got it back there, and when I got it back there, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I wish it was here.
Yeah.
So then I thought, well, if I do television stuff, I'll either have to put makeup over it
Right.
or just wear long sleeves.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
went and got the clubs, heart, spades, diamond, obviously decks of card stuff.
Yeah.
And when I got that, I'm like, well, I might as well get more. So I got this. So this arm will be sleeved eventually.
Nice.
And if it there's been, I do a gig for Ohio Health, which is a live thing
Yeah.
at festivals and stuff, and we have a blast. And I wear long sleeve shirts for them just so my tattoos don't show.
Right.
But it's hot. Like the last one we did was 90 degrees. We're under a tent and they have a fan blowing, but I've got long sleeve shirts on because
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we gotta be businessy.
Yep.
here.
And I knew getting the tattoos that I was going to have to do that kind of stuff from time to time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool.
But
cool.
yeah, they're addictive.
So, for somebody that wants to be you now, because now they know how amazing David is.
Oh, I'm faking it.
So, what do I need? Do I need to go to school for acting? Do I need to go, to a seminar for hosting and speaking? Do I need to join Toastmasters?
You know what?
What do I need to do?
I didn't really do any of that. I go to some lectures for magic, especially early on. I go to magic lectures, which happens again at Magifest. And now that I've done it for 27 years, I don't go to as many because I know it's not like I couldn't learn more and get better, but I've forgotten more than I know now because there's just so much information out there. I like to go to them just to hang out with my magic buddies.
Yeah.
But I think part of it, you just have to want to be in front of people. And I'm assuming there's a bit of a talent there to be able to get up in front of people and talk and riff with people.
Yeah, number one phobia is public speaking.
Yeah, which I don't get. My wife is terrified to be up in front of people. Like if I'm at an event where she's at and I need to bring somebody on stage, she's like, I will absolutely kill you if you even think of bringing me on stage. But yeah, I've talked about the church. I'm involved with a church here in town. I think did I mention that already?
Yeah, you talked a little bit.
And I'm on stage doing fun stuff almost every Sunday. It's like I said, it's a fun hip church.
Yeah.
But I've spoken there a couple times, and I even talked to some of them that, hey, maybe we need to go, the few of us that speak on stage every once in a while, maybe we go to a speakers network event and learn some more. So there's always a way to learn and make your craft better. And like I said, I do that occasionally with lectures and with magic lectures. I could probably do better, but I'm just kind of busy. So as far as like getting into it,
yeah,
I think it's got to be something that you really want to do. There he is.
There's a giant fly in here,
which isn't going to show up on
right.
the screen.
Yeah,
We're just. I swear it's water.
That's going in the clip. That's going to be the clip for the show. Today on the show, David McCreary.
Oh, yeah. So, what was I saying? Just get in front of people. I will say this:
yes.
if you're getting into some form of entertainment, whether it's magic or speaking in front of people, at the beginning, you're going to have to do a lot of free things. Look for charity events that are looking for a speaker, or an MC, or entertainment like magic. I started off doing a lot of gigs that I didn't get paid for, but it got me in front of people. It gave me practice.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that say, "Oh no, never work for free," because then they're always going to expect to have it for free.
Yeah,
that's a no, huh? So get out there and just get out there.
And even now, at 27 years doing magic, it's still weird for me to charge X amount for a company. Like if a company comes in and says, "We want you to do, 2 hours of magic," and I say, "Well, it's this much money." And it feels weird for me to say that. Like, who am I to tell somebody you got to pay me? I'm throwing a number, $1,000 to come in and do your event.
Right.
I'd do it for free because I like the attention and I like doing magic.
Right. Yeah. But then you have 27 years of experience.
Exactly.
That's what they're paying
and
for.
I have to remember that.
Yeah.
But it's still I hate negotiating or talking fees, and I feel like a lot of performers feel that way. Maybe not. Maybe I'm crazy, but part of it now though is if somebody calls me and they says, "Hey, we have $100 for you to do a show," again, just throwing numbers out there.
Yeah.
On a Friday night, and they say, "Okay, yeah, let me come help you out. I don't have anything planned on that Friday." And then a week later, before the show, a company calls me and says, "Hey, we have $5 million for you to come do this show."
Right.
Well, now I have to cancel that $100 show, and I don't want to do that. So
wait, you'd cancel the $100 show for
Oh,
$5 million?
I would. They would not see me for $5 million. I would.
You're like, yeah, I'll pay you $100. How about that?
Exactly. I think it's a good point. I'll share my what I made that day.
I'll hook you up.
Yeah.
Okay.
You'll have a much better party because I will pay for your party. We'll bring in Copperfield to do your magic for you. Let me go do this $5 million gig. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm throwing this one at you because somebody in the chat said it.
Okay.
And we only have one camera, so I'm not sure this is gonna work. But you have any magic that you can do for me?
Yes, I brought a deck of cards.
Sweet.
Yeah. Let's see how will this work.
I honestly don't know. I don't have an overhead camera. I should have an overhead shot and do all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
we'll get it together.
We're
good.
I think I am just throwing stuff.
Just toss it anywhere. It's fine. It's fine.
I'm a mess. Okay, let's do this. We'll do something fairly simple.
Okay.
I'm going to. It's a brand new deck. I gotta shuffle it or it'll be crazy. So Cameron, do me a favor. Say stop for me anytime.
Stop.
Start there. Stop me on the King of Hearts. That doesn't matter. Do you want this next card, this face down card, or you want to go down further? It's up to you.
Let's go down further.
Go down further. All right. Say stop for me.
Stop.
Stop right there. Stop me on the Queen of Clubs. You want this one or down further? Totally up to you.
Let's go down further.
Go down further.
Okay.
How long do we have? You didn't even set your.
I didn't set the clock this time. It's all right. Stop.
Stop right there. Stop me on the Two of Hearts. You want that one or down further?
I'll take that one.
Go ahead and take it. Show it to the camera. I will look away. Close my eyes.
Hopefully you guys can see that. Real close to the camera.
Good. Put it back in there anywhere you want.
I missed it. It's just a new deck.
Yeah, it's hard to handle. Shuffle those up for me. That way I have no idea.
Oh, goodness. My shuffling skills are amazing.
That's all right. Just try not to get them out of order.
Oh, whoops. Yeah, let's take that. There we go. Try not to get them out of order.
Yeah, throws me off completely.
That totally messes up the trick.
You just screw the trick up. Dang it. Let's start over. We'll go back to this. I'm gonna cut the deck roughly in half, right about there.
Okay.
I'm gonna take a guess that your card, Cameron, is in this. I'm gonna take a guess it's in this half.
Okay.
I'm gonna narrow it down just a bit more. I'll go with this card and this card, this one, and here and there. All right. I'm gonna have to stand up so you guys can see this here. Here's one thing, Cameron. I think your card maybe the Ace of Hearts, maybe the Eight of Clubs, maybe the Six of Hearts. Maybe let's even turn this one over to the Six of Clubs.
Okay.
Out of those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards, did you see yours in there?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to read them off to you. Try not to give anything away. Here we
go.
The Ace of Hearts, 4 of Diamonds, 8 of Clubs, 6 of Hearts, 6 of Clubs. Did you hear yours?
Yes, I did.
All right, do me a favor. Hold your hand like that for me, and then cheat to the camera just a little bit. There you go. Because I want them to be able to see this card. Set that right there. Just don't look at that one yet. Just hold on to it for a second.
Okay. Dave.
All right, yeah. Do me a favor.
There's no card in my hand.
One, that one there.
There's no card there.
This one here. Look, I'll show it to you. Is that yours?
Should it be?
If I did the trick right, it should be. Is it not? I may have screwed up.
I'm not sure.
I'll tell you what. Dang it. This is embarrassing. Do me a favor.
Yeah.
Take that card face up, and then just slide it into the middle of the deck there. Just slide it face up, but make sure it's face up in the middle of the deck.
Okay, face up, because I looked at it.
Yep.
Into the deck.
Perfect. So it is face up in that deck.
Sure.
Your card.
Yes, although I saw it in that.
It was.
It was there.
But I put it.
But you put it in my hand, and I put it in the deck.
But I had 5 here, right? So if you take one away, it leaves 4.
4,
the
right?
6 of Clubs, 6 of Hearts, 4 Diamonds, the Ace of Hearts. Is yours in there?
No, it is not in there.
You turn it face up. I don't know if you'll see this. Here, let's do it this way.
Yeah.
One card should be. Normally I would spread this out on the table. One card face up in the deck. There it is.
Holy crap, dude!
Is that yours?
That is my card.
Boom!
That's
red.
Got it.
Oh, that probably looks
very nice.
sweet.
Yeah, that looks really good from there. I'm sure.
I don't know how that plays.
That was really cool, dude.
That's
really cool. And I mean, like I said, having a little bit of magic, that's very cool.
Yeah, it's fun
it's always great to know just enough to be dangerous.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's kind of where I am with this. That was very cool. Thank you very much, sir.
Thanks.
Thank you. Well, we are reaching to the end. Let me, actually, I'll let you plug all your stuff one more time.
Okay. Twitter and Instagram, it's just David McCreary. McCreary. You said there's be fancy like lower.
Yeah, it'll be
It's
lower
probably
thirds
spelled
right
like
down
that.
there. Yeah,
Unless Cameron spells it wrong. It's right down there. Right. And then even Facebook is just David McCreary or the Comedy Magic of David McCreary, which I'm never on there. So what happens is like people probably go on that like
Right, like hey, it was a
he's got 700 followers and he hasn't done anything since February. I should probably just get rid of it completely.
Yeah,
or just get better with my marketing.
Well, that too. Do you have an actual website?
Oh yeah, see, this is how bad I am at marketing. StuffDavidDoes.com.
Oh, that's cool. StuffDavidDoes.com.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's
yeah,
cool.
I was kind of happy with that name because I'm like, how do I? Because I don't just do magic, and I don't want people to think I'm just a magician.
Right.
I do a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff David does.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Cool. Well, make sure you follow Mr. David McCreary in all those places and everything that you saw down here. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having
This has
me.
been amazing. We'll have to have you come back. I got another show idea that I'm going to run by you later. It'll be so good. Folks, thank you for watching on Facebook Live, and everybody else that found us on Apple Podcasts or YouTube or wherever else. Make sure you give us some reviews and stars and all that fun stuff. Let us know what you want to see here, and we will see you next time.